Hi everybody and welcome to this next tutorial. Now we want to scrape this table data using Beautiful Soup. And I've already provided or created this empty notebook here with these headings and a few relevant comments here. And exactly like in the last project, we start with the initial steps. Afterwards, we want to find our data, create our data frame and export everything inside CSV, Excel, JSON and the PostgreSQL database. But before we start, let's open up our command prompt and do the necessary installations here. So first of all, go ahead and install Beautiful Soup. That means pip install bs4, click on enter, and here you see that I've already installed it on my machine, right? The next package you have to install is the requests module. That means go ahead and type in pip install requests. Okay, this is number 2, and I don't want to press and enter on my device because I've already installed it. Next one is pandas. Okay, pip install pandas. Go ahead, press enter, wait until the installation part is over. And lastly, we have to install the schlee-alchemy library here. Okay, so pip install schlee-alchemy. Click on enter, wait a few moments, and then you are ready to go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start with the imports here inside our notebook. I will start with from bs4. We want to import Beautiful Soup. This is number 1. Then we want to import the requests library. Number 3, import pandas as PD. We will use it for our data frame, and PD is just the abbreviation, or let's say the common alias for pandas. And last but not least, we have to import the schlee-alchemy library here. So import schlee-alchemy. This is fine. Make sure you do this for imports properly. Let's run the cell. We don't have an error message. That means everything is fine here. And now let's go ahead and see what is the next step. In the next one, we have to store the website inside a variable. That means here, this is actually the website. This is the data we want to extract the data from. So let me go ahead and copy this whole path. Ctrl C to copy it. Back to the notebook. Let's provide one variable, URL equals to this website here. Okay, and now we have to provide another variable here. So response equals to requests dot get URL. Now we have to make a get request to this URL, and let's see if this works fine. Let's run this. Okay, sorry for that. I should run this cell before I run this one. Okay, now we don't have an error message. Again, this is the process of making a get request to this website here, right? And the response is stored actually in this variable. Now let's go ahead and make use of the response variable. And you see here we have number 200, and that means we have successfully made a request to this website. Okay, this is actually it. Now in the next step, we have to create a soup object. What is a soup object? Actually, we want to store all the HTML elements of this website inside our notebook to get access, or actually to make use of it to be able to extract the data. Okay, which is also stored in the HTML elements then. Okay, so for now, let me just create the soup object. That means I want to provide one variable here, soup equals to Beautiful Soup. And first of all, I have to write down response.content. As you can remember, here we have stored the response, right? Response.content. And we want to make use of the HTML parser. So these 2 arguments you have to provide. Let's run this one. Let's see, no error messages, this is fine. And then let's make use of the soup object, and let's see what we have. Okay, this looks fine, and this is actually what I wanted to show you. Here inside this area, we see all the HTML information of this website. Okay, and now this is, let's say, our very initial point to get access to all the elements. If you want to make a cross check, let's say you want to search for, let's say I want to search for this word, for Shanghai with capital S. Okay, let's go ahead, click here, Control F to search for it. Let's write down Shanghai, and you see here inside this area, Shanghai, we see it a lot of times. This is just a short cross check to compare if you see the text elements which you see here inside this area here. Okay, this is it. This is our soup object. Let me just comment this out because we don't need it for now. We just know it works, and for us this is perfect. Okay, so actually let me just show you how I try to approach the steps. First of all, I want to create a starting point. Okay, and the starting point for, in this example, after we have created the soup object, is the table itself. Okay, let's see how to do it. So right click, click on inspect, and now let's see where the table is actually stored. So here you can make use of the inspect tool. Then you can play a little bit around until you see that this whole table is actually highlighted. So let's, for example, start here. Okay, and you see here that inside this table tag, right, we have all the table information. Okay, everything comes then underneath. This is our initial point for the table. Okay, we have the table tag, the ID attribute, and buildings table value, right? And then underneath we see everything what we need. All the rows, this table head or T head, T body, table body, and then this TRs and the TDs. Okay, so TR is table row, TD is table data. Okay, so first of all, I want to write an expression with beautiful soup to be able to point to this table here. So let me just make a double click on the value, copy this, and try to remember table is the tag, ID is the attribute. Let's go back to our notebook, and here I want to provide another variable. So let's say results equals to soup dot find, and now we want to start with the table. Okay, this is our tag. Then we have the ID attribute. So go ahead and write it inside this curly brackets here, ID colon. And here inside the next quotes, I want you to paste the value, which is buildings table. And this was what I've copied a few moments ago. Okay, so this is actually the first part. Afterwards, let's open up it again. And then in the next step, what is necessary for us, we want to go down to this T body, right? And find all these TRs. So we have here all the table rows. And all in all, I guess we have 100 results, right? Let's make a cross check. You see it here, we have 100 results or 100 rows. This should actually be our starting point. Again, you have a lot of different approaches how to attack this problem or this requirement, but actually I just want to show you how I try to approach it. Okay, so we started here. Then we want to find the T body and all the table rows, okay, to get access to all the results. So let's do it. So here we have soup find and table, ID, buildings table. And then the next step, I want to make use again of the find function. Okay, so dot find. Here we have the T body. And now you have to be careful here. Now we have to use the find all function, okay? Find all TR, because again, this is unique, okay? So we have one table with one ID and one value here, okay? Then we have one table body, but we have 100 different table rows and we want to catch all of them. Okay, so here let's work with the find all function here. Okay, so let me just run the cell and let's take a look and make use of the length function to check the amount or to check the number of the results. Let's run it, and you see here, this is what we want to have. Okay, so now with this expression, we were able to get access to all 100 rows or 200 results. So this is actually it. I hope this was not confusing. If you have a question, please let me know in the comment section down below or in the Q&A area. And yeah, I will try to explain it in a different way. Okay, but I hope this this should actually demonstrate my way of thinking or my way to approach this requirement here. Okay, now we have actually set up our starting point, and in the next step we have to go ahead and try to figure out how to tackle our data. Okay, how to point out the data we want to have, and here we want to get the name, the city, the completion year, height, floors, the material, and the function. And this is actually nothing more than what you see here. Okay, so for example here I've skipped the status. This is not very necessary for us, but all the rank, this is also not necessary. This is more or less the index, right? But all the remaining columns are required for this project. Okay, so we start actually with the row number 1. Okay, so I want to show you the logic for the first result. Okay, so for this whole row here, and in the next step we want to create a for loop to loop through all results and to apply the existing logic behind it. But step by step, we start with results and index 0. Then what we want to do is the following. Here, okay, so I closed the development tools. Let's open up it again, right click, inspect. Let's see how to get here once again. So we had here, this was our starting point. We went down to the TR, correct? And then in the next step, we want to make use of TD with index 1, correct? So here we have the table row. Okay, this is our table row, for example, with index 0 or our first table row. We open it up and we see here, now we have inside the first TD, on the left side, you see that the rank is highlighted. And inside the second TD, we have actually the name of this building. In this example, it's the Burj Khalifa. Okay, so here we are inside TD with index number 1. Okay, and if I open it up, I can see here that this is actually the text element we want to grab. Let's go ahead and do it. Again, TD with index number 1, and TD is the table data. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. So results with index number 0 dot find all. Here I want to make use of TD and the index is number 1. Okay, let's run this. And this is actually the snippet which we are looking for. Okay, this is the snippet. Here we have the open tag, the closing tag, and this is actually the text element here, this one. Okay, so now let's see how to get access to this. This is actually quite straightforward. The only thing we need to do is we need to make use of the get text function. Okay, it's this one, or maybe not just the only thing, because we want to strip out this unnecessary parts here. Okay, and this is also quite straightforward. Here we can just make use of the strip function, and voila, here we have actually the name of the first building. And let's say, for example, we want to take a look at building number 5, which is index number 4. Okay, because we start counting from 0. Let's run it, and it's the lot world tower. Let's make cross check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you see it here. It's the lot world tower. That means this logic here is totally fine. and I want to start with just the first result to show you the logic behind all this. Okay, so step by step, then we proceed with this city. Again, we have results with index number 0, correct? And now you will see that this was here actually the most important part. So we have created our soup object, then we have created our starting point, where we target the table itself, and then the first data, or the first data point. And now you will see that the remaining parts are almost the same. Okay, and this is actually the beauty about extracting table data, because now you will see that you don't have to change a lot. So again, we are here inside TD number 2 when we want to extract the building name, correct? Then if I go to TD number 3, you will see here that now I have access to this city. Okay? That means for now, what I need to do here, I can just copy this whole part. Let me just copy it, paste it here, and replace TD with index number 1 with index number 2 and run this cell. And you see here, this is what we want to have. The only difference is that I've changed number 2, or I've replaced number 1 with number 2. That's it. Next one, if I go to TD number, so let's see, this was number 3. Then if I go to number 4, this is what we don't actually want to have. This is the status, we can just ignore it. But then if I go to number 5, you see here we have the completion year. Okay, then number 6, we have the height. Number 7, we have the amount of floors. Number 8, we have the material. And number 9, we have the function. Okay, this is the whole logic behind it. That means I actually can go ahead, save some time, and just replace the index number. This is the whole logic. Okay, this is why I wanted actually to show you my way how I approach it, because once you have set up the basics, you can go ahead and save a lot of time later. Alright, so let me just go ahead, copy this one, paste it here, and let's see, we have the completion year, but it's not inside the index number 3, it's index number 4, okay, because index number 3 is the status. That means here it's index number 4, okay. This is what I want to have, it's correct. Then let's copy it again, paste it here, replace index number 4 with number 5. This is also what I want to have. This is actually the height, correct? Yep, it's this one. But here you have actually something special. But first of all, let's clean up, or let's fill the remaining data, and then we get back to this one, because now we can decide between if I want to have the height in meters or in feet. Okay, so for now let's proceed with the floors, and I got back to it in a few seconds. So here I want to make use of index number 6 for the amount of floors. This looks great. Then we have the material, it's index number 7. Okay, this is also fine. And then I want to get the function data. So this is index number 8. Okay, this looks fine. This is actually the result for row number 1 or index number 0. Okay, now I've promised to get back to the height, because now here there's actually something special. We have text elements where we can choose between meters and feet. And I actually want to go ahead and make use of the feet. That means here, let me just take a look. This is index number 5. So that means we are here right now. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. So give me 1 second. So where are we right now? We are here, correct? This is it. If I open it up, let's just go down. Let's go down. You see here we have 2 text elements. We have the results in meters and also in feet. So now it's actually quite straightforward. For me, I want to use the meters. That means I need to capture, okay, or to locate the first paragraph or the first p tag, okay? So here inside this td tag, if I go down, I have to make use of the first paragraph tag. Let's go ahead and do it. So it's p with index number 0. That means here I have to add this up, okay? So give me just 1 second. Actually, I can remove this part here. So let me just remove this part and proceed with dot find all p, and I want to get access to p with number 0. Let's run this one, and this is actually what I want to have, okay? Then let's proceed with the get text function, and voila, this is right now the information in meters. And if you want to proceed with feet, the only difference here is you don't have to put p with the index number 0, but you have to locate p with index number 2, okay? Because 0, 1, 2. Let's see if this is correct. If I replace number 0 with number 2, and this is actually what we want to have, okay? This works fine, but for now let's go ahead with 0. Okay, so this is actually the data I want to extract for a specific row. In this example it was row number 1. And now in the next step I want to put everything together and write a simple for loop and append all the data inside a separate list, okay? And I would say I can do it just in the next video. So let's make a short cut here, and I see you in a few moments.